Happy Sunday, y'all. Today is reading day, and a few things came to mind that are important to think about. Is that I was reading about transactional funding, and it's funny because I've been reading or listening to the Survival's Closures Guide, and really the insight with that. And currently, we're property walking just so I can keep again my focus on watching comps in the neighborhood and stuff like that, just evaluations, right? Looking at the way the windows are done, roofs, etc., right? So while we're on the walk, on a Sunday walk, one thing that came to mind when reading the closures guide was that what you don't know, focus on what you don't know, because that's where most of the friction comes from, right? And I realized that was so true. There was one thing that I was thinking about, well, how do you handle a close, or if it's like if you can't double close in your state for whatever reason. There's a lot of different sanctions on states on having the ability to assign contracts. If you can't assign it, I was thinking, well, how do you do it? Because private money lending is for flips, right? Long term, right? So what lender is going to lend to you if you just want to have the money to close? So I was thinking that, and that was on top of my head, and that was adding friction, right? It was kind of like, well, I don't know how to do this. And anytime you don't know how to do something, according to what Grant Cardone was saying, if you can't predict your income, there's something that you don't know. Therefore, if you can't move forward with a close or close a deal or even take action, procrastination, it's because you don't know something. And I realized that, as excited as I am, as I'm learning a lot of things, and right now I'm still in the learning phase before I apply. Just even what the closers guys talking about is knowing how to close. A lot of people just say, oh, learn through experience, but it's really put yourself, set up an environment to apply the proper methods to close. So that was another great reminder. But so again, I'm in my due diligence period where I'm learning things, and at the same time, there's some things that, or it's like, well, even if I was to get a deal now, where I feel there was some friction, and it's because I didn't know anything. So or there was a piece that I didn't know, and so right now I've been really focusing on tackling what I don't know. And today, another great reminder, I went to Bigger Pockets Forum, and I was about to post a question, but then another reminder came to me, is there's not a question out there that only you have, right? So another way to look at it is there's always going to be a question that's out there that is the same as yours. You just got to go and find it. And with the powers of Google, beautiful property here. Check it out. It's going for $2 million or 1.9. Great backyard. But and I was property walking here yesterday, just getting familiar with looking at the faucet and the shingles, what else? The fascia. Did I say faucet? Soffit, not faucet. That's interior. See, so that's why I'm learning this. Look at the garages, if they have one, if they don't. But anyways, that's the beauty of, and I love just taking walks. Got the roof up there. But anyways, so that's been a thing where I've been making progress doing property evaluations. But going back to the point, I've been focusing on areas that I am not familiar with, right? So on things that I don't know. And that's extremely important, because it removes the friction. And when it removes the friction, it allows you to actually take action right away. So that's very, very, very helpful. And that's a thing I'm going to focus on in all aspects of my life. If I don't know something, focus on that. And we just learn what transactional funding is all about. As a quick recap, it's really about it's a close for 1 to 3 days, and it's a double close. So what happens is you're actually getting money from a transactional funding company where you already have an end buyer, and what you're doing, again, I'm repeating this so actually you can learn it and make sure I've understood it correctly. Another nice unit, but you have a house as a wholesaler, or you have a seller who's selling you a house, and you want to double close, and you want to have a close from A to B, B to C, B being me as an investor. So what I would do is get the house under contract, actually close on that with the title, not the title company, I'm sorry, with the transactional funding, where I would get transactional funding to close on that deal. And then in that same day or the next day or two, I have the investor's money already in escrow that's ready to close out on my second, do a second closing, so that for that one day, the property is technically, it's under my title, but then I resell it, which is completely legal, except for short sales. Short sales will probably force you to own the title for, I believe it's 90 days. So you definitely want to look more into that. But for any other property, you can actually double close one day, and then have that funding for the next 3 days. What you'll probably have to pay is like 2 points. If I believe I read, if it's under 150K, 115K to be exact, you actually have to put the, I think it's 2%, which is about 2,000, and 2,000, and then if it's more than that, I don't know, they take a certain percentage. There's always going to be some upfront kind of fee, because everybody that's how they make their money. But again, allows you to actually have other people's money and close the deal. I was about to say close the casket, but that sounds ridiculous. But that's really what it is. And the reason why that's important is, again, because if you're talking about private money lending, it's more for the long-term game. I'm gonna buy this home, I'm gonna renovate it, right, for the next, maybe it takes me 3 months if I'm savvy, if really savvy and I have a huge team, which is not the case right now. And then I will be paying like a 12% annual rate on that, which is on the higher side. When we say 1 to 2%, that's the points for the day for a transactional funding. When we talk about 12%, the usual high interest rate that we know of from private money lenders, that's annually, right? So you'd have to divide out what it is per month of the value that you're actually borrowing. And usually there's a loan to value rate. They'll give you like 70%. Transactional funding, they'll give you all the money. You just have to pay the points up front for those 2 days. So, great recap. And I feel so much better just knowing, and you just start realizing that knowledge is what really trumps people. And again, this was just after reading the closer's guide, which I'm going to post up. You know, what you don't know, if you're unable, I guess, how does he sum it up? What you don't know is what you need to focus on. If you're unable to predict your income, there's something that you don't know. If you're unable to get the results that you want to get, if you're unable to get those results that you want to get, there's something that you don't know somewhere in the process. It's just a great reminder that everything is a process. It needs to be treated that way. And wherever there's uncertainty is where we lack control. And if you want to have control of your business, your process, your life, you either have to focus on that problem or find someone on your team that can solve it. But it must be addressed. No guessing game around here. So anyways, that's the recap. I think that's a great reminder. And pumped. Let's get it. Let's build. you.